Do you remember this cover page I worked on last August?
Let's color it.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Ink and Matcha. Today I'll show you how I turned this piece into a fully colored version. This was my first time coloring something digitally that I drew traditionally, so it came with some challenges. Before we dive in, a quick reminder, if you're interested in my comic, there is a newsletter you can subscribe to, links in the description. So go grab your drink and let's head to the office. I filmed the inking process of this piece. If you missed it, that's linked in the cards. I also have a video on how I prepped my traditional drawn artwork for digital space, also in the description. For this video, we'll pick up from the Greyscale stage, and here is the 7-step process of turning my drawing into a full colored piece. Let's go. Step 1. Greyscale and values. At this stage, I focus on building values and shadows. I look at the light source and overall depth. I rely on references, for example like a arrowhead, to figure out where highlights and shadows should fall based on the light source. It takes some trial and error, but I take my time to really have a solid grayscale to work with. Step 2. Adding color. Once the values are in place, I move on to color. For most of it, I use a standard round brush on an overlay layer. I use multiply to deepen the shadows, and color dodge layer and soft light to help brighten the highlights. Step 3. Establishing the color palette. You already met Fayon. I already shared a video for his character sheet. I have a color palette for him, but for the other characters, I had to create a palette from scratch. This took some trial and error, and I sort of gave myself the time to explore. I worked on this piece on and off for about a week. So take your time to really find colors that work well together. Step 4. Composition and focal point. One of the biggest challenges while working on this piece was figuring out how to handle the horse. The horse is quite large, it's in the center of the page, and there is a high chance, if you don't color it correctly, that it takes away and pulls the attention away from the characters, which I would like to be the focal point. To fix this, I used this beam of light in the composition to guide the viewer's eye back towards the focal point, which were the characters, and while selecting the colors, I tried to dim out and mute this area, not to put too many highlights so that the eyes don't naturally gravitate towards it. Step 5. The ugly face. My biggest struggle while working on this cover page was pushing through the ugly face. So one thing that I've noticed is that with digital work you can zoom in close, sometimes even too close. And what I suddenly saw was every inking mistake that I made while working on this original piece traditionally, and this mistake suddenly got magnified, and all of a sudden I started to doubt whether my original lines were strong enough for a finished piece. But I wanted to find a way to work with my mistakes. I wanted to find a way to create something beautiful, even if it's not perfect, even if it bears all of these traditional inking mistakes that I originally created. And learning to work with my mistake turned out to be the most valuable lesson from this cover. Stage 6. Polishing the details. So now with all of the base colors done, and I'm starting to add the book covers, the rim light, and polishing up little things. So while I'm working on these details, I wanted to talk to you about my comic. You already met Fayon, we talked about who he is and what his story is, but here we have also 3 additional characters you will definitely meet in volume 1. First up, Aiden. Then we have Derek, and then we have Louis. There are 4 more characters which make up this little gang that I was talking about in my previous video. Each of these characters has their own struggles, and through them I try to explore different themes, different life topics. The story is really about making sense of life, and I wanted every character to feel human. In this world, Adults are real adults with power, and my character's choices have consequences. But alongside these topics, I wanted there to be a sense of wonder. So the story evokes mystery, explores the soft magic system, and most definitely there's adventure. And as an added bonus, I sprinkled on top some of my silly humor. Stage 7. Title. So the last challenging bit while working on this cover was to figure out how to place a title on such a busy cover. There is so much going on, and I'm not a graphic designer, so I had to watch several tutorials on how to make some nice graphics, and this is the best I could do. So, what do you think? My friends said it reminds them of early 2000 video game covers, and low-key I kind of like that association. If you were to see this in a bookshop, would you pick it up? Let me know down in the comments. Thanks so much for watching, and if you're interested in my comic, please subscribe to my newsletter. There is a link in the description, and for those of you who already have, you're the real ones. Thank you so much, and I hope to see you in the next one. Take care. Ciao.